It is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
Oh, microchips, huh? I wonder if the fact checkers are going to fact check this one, and that's the stuff that they're discussing publicly? Imagine what they're discussing privately. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there's a lot of very important information to get in today, as of course there's some very important meetings happening over in Switzerland right now. Lots of diabolicalness, financial craziness, and insanity that will have you going, wait, are they deliberately just trying to ruin our lives? Well, we're going to be answering that question, plus a lot more, all exclusively on this independent media organization. But the video that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is, of course, the CEO of a very big pharma agency that has a lot of lucrative government contracts and no liability for their product, that has enriched themselves to wealths that the world has never seen before, creating more billionaires than ever, just telling you about microchips that people will be taking inside of their bodies that could be wirelessly sending a signal to the authorities to make sure that citizens have complied and taken their mandatory dose of whatever his private multinational unaccountable corporation wants you to take. This on the heels of a lot of extortion efforts, manipulation efforts by governments and other authorities just months ago, pushing a product which has had some negative consequences on some people and statistically hasn't proven its value. I'll just leave it at that. But what the CEO of Pfizer is talking about is, of course, the advancement of technology that is quickening, that is moving very fast, as the World Economic Forum likes to talk about how they're coming towards a fourth industrial revolution. The stuff that they're talking about is not the stuff of conspiracy theories, it is the stuff of reality, especially when you start to learn about quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and the larger advancements that have been happening in technology that will, of course, change the way we live our life drastically. The World Economic Forum, a confab of globalists and billionaires and unaccountable bureaucrats, love to talk about this stuff since, of course, a lot of them will be taking advantage of this technological revolution to create situations that benefit them, while, of course, most likely hurting you and the average person, since, you know, that's the way that they've been doing business for a very long time. Will we get more eye-opening admissions from the head of Pfizer and other multinational unaccountable corporations and media organizations and bankers today, as the World Economic Forum just started their annual meeting today in Switzerland? Well, who knows? We're going to be keeping a close eye on this meeting, watching, of course, all the events that are going to be unfolding there publicly. But in my opinion, these are important issues, important context that we should definitely be talking about, because the larger conversations about how this new technology will be implemented is being decided by unaccountable, non-transparent parties that, of course, have a horse in this race and are set to profit a lot from this larger technological revolution, as even Yuval Noah Harari, a man that we have brought up many times on this independent media broadcast. He is known as the right-hand man to Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum, another corrupted businessman, who literally talks about how the global sickness within the last 2.5 years, quote, helped convince people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. This is his own words saying this, going on and saying, quote, we need to not just monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. This is the same man that prophesies that humanity should be pacified with video games and drugs because of the larger technological revolution, which will create a whole bunch of, quote, useless people. Ruling elites talking about useless people. Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, most of human atrocities throughout recorded human history. And of course, it's not just the World Economic Forum that's meeting in Switzerland with a lot of corrupted top officials in governments and corporations. It's also the World Health Organization with the United Nations that will be meeting in Geneva, Switzerland, very close to the Davos World Economic Forum meeting. A lot of the same speakers, a lot of the same attendees will, of course, be going to both of these meetings, as this World Health Organization assembly is set to start to implement a global treaty which supposedly will be agreed upon by world leaders at this specific meeting, and specifically will codify a new set of rules and laws and powers to the World Health Organization in order to help battle future sicknesses. And this is, of course, something that Tucker Carlson has labeled as total tyranny, the total usurping of American domestic power and decision-making that's going to be handed over to the World Health Organization. That's just a short synopsis of his take on this treaty, which, of course, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, is set to agree upon, which, according to a lot of people, is going to be giving a lot of power for the World Health Organization to make policies here domestically inside of the United States. Now, whether we should give these powers or not, it's something that should at least go up to a vote, should at least be discussed, should at least be debated, especially on the heels of the World Health Organization having an absolutely atrocious record of their handling of the last 2.5 years, proving to be absolute liars, proven to absolutely cover up important information for the benefit of China. And if you could give them a report card for how they handled the last 2.5 years, I would essentially expel them out of any classroom because they have no legitimacy at all with how horribly they have handled the last 2.5 years. They have flip-flopped on major issues, caused confusion, have not helped people, and I think there's a legitimate argument to make here that the World Health Organization has actually created situations that devastated people more because of their actions and have created more pain and suffering that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for them. I think there's a legitimate reason to argue this. This organization needs to be held accountable for their lies, for their clear misdoings, for their clear corrupted cover-up of the Chinese government, for clearly not even finding out what caused this global sickness 2.5 years ago, for not even trying to help people, implementing policies that have hurt people. This organization doesn't need to be promoted, doesn't need to have more power, doesn't need to have a treaty codifying it. It needs to be put in a court of law and face all the charges that it is being accused of in a legitimate legal forum where they could be held responsible for their actions and not given more power blanketly, blindly by the President of the United States, who clearly is all not there and just a puppet of the larger multinational industrial complex that benefits greatly off of his supposed incompetence, which they're using as a cover to push their agenda on you, your family members, and to screw you over even more. What else are they going to be discussing at the World Health Organization meeting and the World Economic Forum? Also, coincidentally, an animal-based monkeypox. This, as just a few months ago, we detailed to you how there was a lot of coincidental forewarning about this very specific event by some very powerful individuals that are set to profit from it, as even there was an incident not so long ago from monkeys that were being experimented on their way to a CDC-approved quarantine facility that were literally let out loose to the general public after a truck crash. There was one woman who helped out these monkeys after the crash and allegedly had pink eye so severe that she had to go to the emergency room after, of course, these lab experimented on monkeys that were undergoing horrific gain-of-function research on, which absolutely, according to many scientific experts, has no scientific benefit at all except for maybe the creation of bioweapons. Why in the world are we still continuing this? Why in the world are the horrible organizations and groups that have caused so much severe pain, suffering, made so many bad moves, made so many bad decisions, lied about their decisions, covered up so much important information, still not held accountable for their clear, aggressive moves against the people of the world? Well, that's a very important question, and because they're not held accountable, they're going to be, of course, calling for more power for themselves, which to me is absolutely ridiculous. As, of course, the local government here in the United States is set to, of course, codify their power and authority, throw more money at them, and of course participate with their larger globalist international protocols, which are absolutely freaking absurd. And as the government is throwing money willy-nilly all over the place, there's some significant ramifications for that. We're going to be talking about that in just a little bit. But before we do, before the global supply chain screw everything over, make sure to grab a t-shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, our official merchandise store, which strives to, of course, help you create new friends, start conversations, and piss off your local Kyles and Karens with some very important messaging that is essentially doing your form of activism. We We just released a new shirt that says, I've got 99 problems, but inflation makes it 199 plus tax. A shirt that you could exclusively get on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, our website, where we can't even here show you some of the shirts that we have available to the general public because this video would get taken down if we would show you what we got. The shirt that I'm wearing right now is also another shirt, and I'm thinking about making some canine shirts, which I think would be pretty interesting, but that's also in the works. I don't know, maybe Atlas probably would like it, but we got a lot of exciting things brewing in our store. There's usually a new shirt every week, so don't forget to check in to see the latest shirts that we have available for you. As we, of course, also have mugs, yoga mats, hats, socks, Joe Biden sniffing your feet socks, bikinis, face masks, you name it. We got it, all exclusively on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Click the link down in the description below right now to at least scroll through the very thought-provoking merchandise that you could wear and that you could start some very interesting conversations with. And with speech becoming so censored, this is one of the few ways that we could still get very important messages out there to the general public that, of course, are becoming more and more restricted. They become less restricted when you participate and have these conversations in the real world. The best way to do that is with shirts. Now, I think it's very fair to say that financially things are absolutely screwed out there, especially if you're just trying to buy stuff or to have some kind of service done. There's some interruptions that, of course, you're dealing with that you cannot avoid, knowing that things will only get worse from here. This, as just moments ago, 70,000 pounds of baby formula landed inside of the United States after the United States decided to buy it from other countries because of government bureaucracies, because the government essentially works like the DMV. We should expect this baby formula to be on the shelves next week, as already many children in this country are being hospitalized because of the lack of baby formula, which has been in extreme short supply because of the government's incompetency and their WIC program that, of course, faced a major disruption. So they bought up private market baby formula, sent some baby formula down to Mexico, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a national crisis on this country, as Congress just passed a $28 million emergency funding bill for baby formula. Biden, of course, invoked the Defense Production Act, which we're seeing the results of with these planes coming in. And I do have to say that this is a short-term solution to a lot of future supply chain shortages that are showing how just delicate the world economy is. And we're dealing with countries that are still in abundance of supplies that, of course, are running short internationally because of the global disruption of trade, not because of a global sickness, but because of government bureaucracy that deliberately stopped the free flow of merchandise, trade, and commerce in the world in order to flex their authoritarian power and grip over the citizenry, essentially creating a self-inflicted wound that has devastated small and medium-sized businesses. Businesses that are still having a very hard time catching up to the global disruption created by governments, as the government is literally printing money out of thin air for now baby shortages that was created from government incompetency. There's also $5 billion that was just announced in order to set up bike paths, to set up more speed cameras, which essentially create more problems for a lot of people scientifically. There's studies showing how speed cameras actually increase car accidents and are just a way for the state to generate revenue for itself by stealing money from citizens. That's essentially how the government plans to pay for all of this. You're going to be paying for this for driving your car, which they're trying to limit, which of course is the larger plan of the UN 2030 agenda, the World Economic Forum Build Back Better agenda, which of course is trying to limit private individuals' ability to be able to travel. Biden is only codifying that by spending billions of dollars on this specific UN 2030 vision. $40 billion was just sent to Ukraine on the same day as the Biden administration is literally spending money willy-nilly trying to cover up their problems, trying to patch up the holes in this larger financial wreckage of a ship that they created, that they wrecked. And on the same day that they're spending all this money, the Senate blocked a $48 billion bill which would go to small businesses and restaurants, as of course it looks like they're dedicated towards creating a situation that makes you miserable and benefits them and their friends only. Perpetual war, speed cameras, bike paths, money to fix a problem that we created? We got all that. Small businesses and restaurants, bug off, get out of here. We don't need you. We don't care about you. As of course, this administration has done more to obliterate people's entrepreneurial abilities, people's ability to have economic mobility, I would argue, more than any other administration in recent history. What this administration has done, especially with its energy policy, especially with their policies that have made gas and energy go up dramatically, all in the name of helping the climate, which it doesn't. It literally has us importing oil and energy from Saudi Arabia, which they have to bring over here. Again, that's not a green policy, but that's the policy that this crazy lunatic administration has set forward in order to promote their green policies, which is absolutely absurd and nonsensical and absolutely disrespectful to anyone paying attention to what's going on here, as of course they're creating more pollution, supporting more regimes that violate human rights, while of course trying to blame everything on Putin and Russia, when of course they have their fingerprints on the deliberate destruction of the United States. And what better way to bring in the World Economic Forum's vision of a Great Reset? What better way to build back better than of course destroying the old way of life? And that's exactly what's going on here, and that's exactly what the World Economic Forum in Davos is discussing today, what they're going to be discussing in private, along with the World Health Organization that they're colluding with in order to try to codify their power and authority over you. And they could only do this if you let them. One of the easiest way that we let them do this is, of course, with convenience. Learning some skills right now might be a good time to, of course, talk to your elders, talk to your parents, your grandparents, if you're still lucky enough to have them. See what they've gone through, what they learned, what skills they could trade off and give to you. As of course, I think it's very fair to say that more troubling times are ahead. And I'm not trying to just, tell you whatever you want to hear. It's truth. Get ready. Get prepared. If you think I'm wrong on my assessment, let me know why down in the comment section below. I always appreciate the constructive criticism. I always appreciate the perspective of being able to see something that I wouldn't naturally see. Of course, I have my own set of biases. Of course, I have my own set of ways that I gain my information, but being able to communicate with you guys, being able to interact, being able to read the comments, I'm able to get a different perspective that I wouldn't get, and you guys help provide that. This is one of the reasons why I'm very appreciative of you. If you appreciate the work we do, get a t-shirt. It helps spread the message. And seriously, that's one of the most important things that you could do. Being a part of the conversation, starting important conversations, being able to prepare with your loved ones, with your neighbors, with the people in your city, in your community for the very troubling times ahead. I hope you guys are doing that. Get the billboards out there. Get the messaging out there. Meet your local friends. Meet your local community members that are doing the right things for themselves, their family members, their communities, and your ability to get through a lot of this bullcrap is going to be a lot easier than a lot of the average Kyles and Karens who have their head in the sand. Being awake, being aware of what's going on is the first step towards making the right decisions in your life, and I hope you're doing that for your health, for your freedom, for your loved ones, and for, of course, the future of this country. I love you guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why. I already said it. I love you. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.